Welcome to the Million Dollar Painter. My name is Richard. I'm your host for this week. Every week we go ahead and interview top local painters in multiple areas all over the country and try to discover kind of what they're doing to grow their painting business. We want to give you as much value as you can to take you, whether if you're brand new, just starting out, or if you're at a $2, $4, $5 million mark and trying to take it to that next level. We want to kind of just uncover kind of the things that people are doing to grow their painting company. Today we've got Cody from Cordero Concepts, and he's all the way out in Palm Beach, Florida. So welcome, Cody, to the show. Hey,
How's it going,
Cody.
man? Palm Bay,
Good.
Florida, Brevard County.
Oh, Palm Bay. Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
I'm all the way in Portland, Oregon, so completely
Okay.
across the country from you. But we interview people from all over the country. So, so kind of to get this started, Cody, tell me a little bit about like how did you get into painting? I saw on your Facebook it looks like you were maybe in the military before. So how did you make that transition to like I'm going to be a painting business owner?
So, funny story. I got out of the Marine Corps about 2 years ago. I got out, started working with family in the construction business. My dad, my stepmom, all are within the roofing company. So, that's actually the only thing I knew when I got out. So, about a year goes into roofing. I was doing sales for a local company in Port St. Lucie. And I told my dad, I think I want to start a roofing company. And this was on a Tuesday. And he goes, "Oh, really? That's a great idea." And Wednesday he comes back and says, "I think I'm going to start one too." And I'm like, "All right, well, that doesn't make too much sense. We're father and son rivals. It doesn't make sense." I said, "What else can I start with low capital?" I didn't have a lot of money at the time. I still wanted to stick in the construction industry because it's kind of what I knew at that point. So I gravitated towards painting.
Awesome. Very good. Did you do, I know you said you worked with family in the construction trade. Did you do painting before that, or is it kind of like, hey, I'm just going to go ahead and learn it?
So I didn't know about house painting, but I did do a lot of painting revolved hobbies. So I did powder coating, I did hydrographics, I did let me think what else, auto body painting. So I understood painting, I just never did it for homes.
Oh, okay. Very good. All right. So what things do you guys do right now? So let's list off some of the services. I mean, exterior, interior,
Yeah.
cabinets.
Yeah, those are my biggest three. Like you said, interior, exterior cabinets. I like the custom projects. I like custom staining, a lot of things that people don't like to take. I know there's a lot of local companies that don't even touch cabinets. I mean, they'll repaint them, but they won't refinish them. That's
Hmm.
something that I like to do. I believe it's a higher profit for it. It's a little more
Niche.
precision, takes a little more skill.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. And there's a lot of guys that start with, it's like, hey, I got a van, I got a sprayer and a ladder. Let's go.
Yeah.
And a lot of guys, when they get started, I've seen, they kind of get, and I wouldn't say stuck in one thing, but they kind of do. It's kind of like, okay, I basically just do exteriors. They have great summers, horrible winters, and they really never get into kind of the specialty stuff that you were talking about, especially cabinets. Cabinets during I mean, all year round, people are looking for, let's revamp the kitchen. And a lot of guys don't take that stuff on because it is a little bit more meticulous, I would say. You got to be a little bit more detailed than just like spraying paint on a wall on the outside. And it's like they're never going to look at that corner, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So, so you started about a year ago. What does your business look like today, as far as what kind of jobs are you guys doing, your crew, all that kind of stuff?
Okay, so I only have one crew. I take marketing pretty seriously. I was taught probably about 2 years ago, if you look bigger than your competitors, they don't know your size. If you look, there's companies that I do estimates against. If two companies show up, one company might be, I don't know, 4 times as big as me, but they don't look bigger. I mean, we have uniforms, we have wraps, we have the marketing, we have the branding. I come out there, I give them pamphlets, I give them brochures, and just from that, they're like, okay, this is a pretty serious company. So in my eyes, that wins a lot of bids. Also, I still do all my own estimating. So, for example, I got into a $1 million neighborhood a couple of weeks ago, and they have their own sales guys that come out there. They're dressed really nice, and I just showed up from painting all day. I'm covered in paint. I look disgusting. I didn't think he was going to let me in his house. But I was like, there's no way I'm winning this bid. and the guy liked me. I think positive attitude and stuff like that has a good.
It goes
I
a
guess
long
what I'm
way.
trying to sell. What's that?
I said it goes a long way.
It does. I mean, at the end of the day, you got to put on a good face, and people have to like you, or else people don't want to buy from people they don't like.
They do. One thing I want to touch on that you mentioned just a few minutes ago, and I see this across all construction trades, is you said, you want to look bigger than you actually are, right? And I think in a lot of construction trades, doesn't matter if it's painting, roofing, siding, flooring guys, there's a lot of people that show up with just a white van, some ladders, and that's it, right? And when you look at a lot of the like big companies, they look professional. They've got their cars wrapped. They have uniforms. They have pamphlets. And a lot of guys, I feel like, don't take it enough seriously because they could really win a lot more jobs because of the presentation. Everybody says, your first impression is the one that lasts. And a lot of people really don't take that first impression very seriously. But when you're able to show up with uniforms, a wrapped van, because a lot of these guys, they're literally
Yeah.
jerry rigging it, I guess, if that's how to put it. And it's like, okay, well, you look like you probably just operated out of your house, which is totally fine because most contractors do. But it's like, are you really taking your whole business seriously? And when you're able to give that really good first impression, I think that goes a long ways, especially where you're at, because a lot of guys that I talk to, they don't get to the point where you're at for 5 years, as far as like really getting serious about uniforms and logos and branding and just really creating yourself as like a really professional company. So that's huge.
Yeah. I mean, another thing of what you just went into. I know you don't want to spend the extra money to do the uniforms, the truck wraps. I mean, anything is better than nothing. Your neighbors have to know who to call, even if they want to work with you. So have something on your truck, even if it's just a little magnet. I put magnets on some of the guys' personal cars, just
Mhm.
because if someone pulls up at your house, you want to know who they are.
Exactly. Well, let's say you said you were pretty serious into marketing, so why don't you talk a little bit about that? Because I know for a lot of guys, lead quality, or not necessarily lead quality, but lead volume, like always having those consistent leads coming in, is really one of the biggest challenges I see with most. I know I don't even not even just painting companies, but construction companies. So talk to us a little bit about like what marketing do you guys do, and then kind of we'll kind of take it from there.
Okay. So I'm not a very technical savvy person. So I've tried the online marketing. Um, I put a good amount of money into it and it didn't pay off for me. One thing that does work out pretty well for me is BNI. So I use BNI. BNI is like a business networking international. It's an in-person group that I have to commit to every Tuesday. Sometimes people think, that's a big commitment to show up everywhere every Tuesday. Um, if I told you how much business I got from it, you'd probably commit to it. But you also get out of it what you put into it. So if you're not giving referrals to these people that don't know you, why are they going to give work to you? And that's pretty much it's been working out for me ever since.
So let's talk a little bit about that because one of the things that we've helped a lot of our clients do is build referral networks, and a lot of these people will go into the groups. I know for a lot of people, I guess when I hear objections about like, well, I've tried BNI or Latip or some sort of a networking group, one of their biggest challenges is giving those referrals because a lot of times you're at their house, you're painting their house, and it's like, how am I going to give a referral to the car guy or somebody that's
Yeah.
maybe not inside the construction trade? And I know a lot of these groups, they kind of give you a little bit of a quota as far as, hey, you need to pass 2 referrals a month or something like that. So talk to us a little bit about how are you finding those referrals to give out? And then we'll kind of dive into like getting the referrals from the group.
So when you're there, just listen to your client. So most of the time, if they're painting their house, they're doing something else. So for example, I just did an estimate today, this morning, Sunday. He goes, "Hey, will you rip out the carpets?" And I go, "No, but we have a flooring company in BNI." I didn't say that exactly like that, but that's what's going on in my head. Like, no, but I know a flooring company who could do it for you. So boom, there's one referral right there. He mentioned, I know it's hot in this back room right here. He goes, we're actually installing a mini split. So he already has a contractor to install the mini split, but the guy he's using is also from my BNI group. I got the referral that morning from my BNI group. So the referral chain's already going. So just out of that one guy, The roofer lives right next door. The client that I got to needs painting, needs flooring, needs AC. That's three referrals that the roofer just gave right there. So
Right, right. Yeah, I think that's huge is really just kind of being observant and also talking to your client. There's a lot of guys I talk to that, they go in, they paint, they leave. And it's like, okay, well, there's probably a lot of other business out there
yeah,
that you could be referring, and it's just a matter of kind of keeping your ear to the ground.
yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about like it sounds like you've had quite a bit of success from the BNI group. So I know a lot of guys again, they'll go to these groups and okay, hey, I passed out my business card and nothing's happening. So talk to us a little bit about like what do you do in these groups to be able to glean so much business out of it? And you're just in one group, correct?
Yes, technically you can only be in one BNI group. Well, for yourself, if you have employees, you can purchase another seat. But yes,
Right.
I'm
Okay.
just in one.
Okay. All right. So yeah, just talk to us a little bit about like how you're getting so much success out of these groups. I mean, it sounds like I mean, obviously you're giving business out, which is probably, contributing to that success. But as far as like, how are you getting more of that business coming in from those other members?
Okay. Let me think about this. So when I first got into BNI, every BNI chapter is completely different. The first one I was ever invited to was in West Palm Beach. It had 70 members, which is
That's
crazy.
big.
The first BNI chapter I ever got involved in wasn't even for the painting seat. It was for roofing, what I used to do. Only had 6 members. Wasn't that great. The first one I ever got involved to for myself was painting was Palm Bay, and we had roughly 12, which is a good number. I kind of got in early, which I feel more fortunate to do so, only because you get to connect with those people a lot easier. For example, if there was 70 people, it would take forever to connect with everybody. The faster that you can connect with these people, understand what they need, what they want, where they work, the more about them, the more they're going to like you and want to give you work. If you don't make that effort, yes, you go in there and hand out business cards, but are you really trying to connect with them? Are you really trying to understand them? Take away that I want mentality and focus on giving, and I promise you, you'll get more in return.
Do you do the one-on-ones with
Yeah,
the group members?
yeah, absolutely. I mean, like I said, we started off with 12. We're almost at 30 now. So I was fortunate to get in at a pretty early stage. So now that when we do have a new member, it's a lot easier to connect with just one new member a week, maybe that's joining, rather than coming in there brand new and trying to connect with 30 people. So yes,
Yeah.
I do one-to-ones. I've had a one-to-one with almost everybody in our chapter, and I do believe the more that you do it, the more business you will get from it.
Awesome. Yeah. Yeah, I hear a lot of people that just like with what you said, you get in what you or you get out what you put in. And for a lot of people that I hear go to these groups, they really don't do that stuff. They don't connect with the people every Tuesday. I half of them skip the meeting.
Yeah.
And then and then they don't do one-on-ones. And it's like, we're here for networking, right? And the more we get to know each other, you hear, a friend will probably refer a friend. And the closer you get to that person, which I know for a lot of people, it's like, well, man, I just don't got the time to do it. It's like, well, it's an hour. It's not you're not taking them out whining and dine them and over the weekend. It's an hour.
I do like that. It is only an hour. One thing that I kind of dedicated my Tuesday to was estimates, especially if you are kind of newer. You're probably doing a lot of the work yourself. You might be painting yourself. I don't want to show up to someone's house, covered in paint, smelling, and doing an estimate. So I used to dedicate my Tuesdays to BNI, to my estimates. So I would either focus on Tuesday for my estimates or the weekend when I wasn't smelly. I wanted to be welcomed into their house. I wanted to look presentable, stuff like that. So
I think that's another really easy, quick tip that I think a lot of people could take away from this is dedicating a day or two or just specific periods of time to doing those estimates. And just like we talked about at the very beginning, showing up professional. And I think that goes a long ways with homeowners, especially when you get into, like you said, you got into $1 million neighborhood. like they're not expecting you to show up covered in paint and smelly with a truck that doesn't look, it looks like, you got it out of a junkyard. Uh, they're expecting you to show up and like, okay, let's wow me. And the nice thing with those type of clientele is that a lot of times they're not overly price driven. I mean, sometimes they are, but really they're looking for the quality of work. And if you show up looking ragged, they're probably not overly confident to be able to just write you a big check. But if you come in and you're professional, you don't smell or covered in paint, I mean, it goes a long ways for sure.
Yeah.
So outside of BNI, I know we kind of hit on that. What other type of, do you guys do any other type of marketing?
There are some things that I learned from the roofing section that I used to do that I applied into my own business. One thing is I do have door hangers. I will put door hangers on every house that can see the street, the home that we're working at. So if there's 8 homes on that street and they can see us working out there all week, I will physically go out there. I don't knock on their doors. I mean, some people do. If they're out there, I'll talk to them. But I'm not the type of person. I don't want to interrupt their day. I don't. There's nothing wrong with that. I actually do believe it works. And if I don't have the business, I will go out there and door knock. But for example, I spent $300 in door hangers, and the first week I got a $4,000 job out of it. So it paid for itself immediately.
It is, and that, one of the things that we talk to a lot of our clients about is really just taking those small extra steps, which you just mentioned. Okay, hey, we're already in the neighborhood. It's one thing to I've seen guys that start up door knocking crews, and that's all they do, right? Or they do a lot of door hangers. But it's like if we're already at the location, they're seeing our van or truck for for an entire week or a couple days. It puts in their back of their mind, well, maybe I should get this done. And if, the likelihood of them walking across the street and talking to you about it is probably pretty low because, I mean, one, you might not be there, or two, it's just like not really a need right now. But like simple things like door hangers, just like you said, I mean, door hangers are very inexpensive and they can go a long ways, especially if you just, do it right by your job site. The other thing we've seen also is sometimes we'll have clients that will do yard signs and just put it like,
Yeah.
hey, I just got it done, and hey, if I can stick this sign in your yard, we'll give you $100 off or something. They're not going to keep it there forever, but I mean, it's really just being top of mind right now. And just like you said, pay $300, turn it to 4,000. On your first run. So, and just being consistent with that. That's the other thing I see with a lot of guys that we talk to is just the consistency. If we can just make sure that, hey, you know what, you got one guy or yourself, hey, every time we're at the location, go hang some door hangers. You don't got to do the whole neighborhood. Just do this street, and we're good to go.
Yeah.
So I think that's huge. So I know we're kind of taking down on time here just a little bit. We've talked a lot about marketing today, which I think is one of the biggest things for most construction trades is just having that consistent lead flow. And you're down in Florida, so you really don't have the weather issues like we do up here in Portland.
Yeah.
Like up here in Portland, exterior is done until like May. So I guess maybe is there anything you'd like to kind of wrap up with? I mean, I know you guys just started about a year ago. It sounds like you guys are having really good success. Anything that you would tell maybe a new painter, maybe in their first couple of years that, hey, here are the things that I feel like I did right. That really helped with my success. And then maybe a couple things that you feel like either you could maybe like improve on, or hey, here's some pitfalls that I ran across and here's the way that I fixed it. So that way, I mean, obviously it's best to learn from somebody that already went through the minefield. So
Yeah.
maybe give them a couple things like that.
Okay. Reiterating on what you just touched on, the things that I need to work on just while it's fresh in my mind. I struggled with letting go and trusting. So my first year, I was everything. I mean, I did everything. I didn't have anybody working for me. It was actually me and my wife. So as we started to complete jobs, quality jobs, we would start to get more people. When I brought my first guy on, I was a little nervous to leave him. Even though I trained him the way I wanted to, I still had to go do estimates. So when I went and go did estimates, then it was just him and my wife. And then it got to the point where, I mean, there was a house I worked at where there was 8 neighbors that all started talking to me and saying, "Hey, I want this exterior, I want this interior," and I'm like, "All right, I'm going to need to hire some more people." So I needed to work on trusting, and I still need to work on delegating a little bit. So That's probably my two biggest downfalls in the beginning. I'm still working on delegating. I now have an employee who I specifically send to go pick up paint, make sure it's on the job site the day we need to. That takes a couple hours away from my week every day, especially if we're doing two different jobs. If they run out of paint during the job site, I don't now have to go drive from my estimate to the painting store to the Sherwin-Williams. He's already there. He can go pick it up. He's getting paid on the clock to do it. I just got to trust him. That comes down to trust again. I had to add him to the account. He now has the access to charge $5,000 in my account if he needs to, but he's a good guy. You got to trust him.
Right.
You have to step away from I need to do everything myself, and it's a little scary, but let them do their thing. I mean, you were in their shoes one time too, and now you're on your own. So
I think that is a really big takeaway for a lot of people, especially I not even necessarily like how long you've been in the business, just kind of where you're at in the business, is getting to a point where we can be the business owner and we're working on the business instead of working in the business. And just like you said multiple times, there's got to be some trust there. And sometimes it's like letting go of the reins. It's like it is a little bit scary because like I hope you do it the right way, but I'm not 100% sure. But I think for a lot of people, if they can start doing those, like a minute task, go pick up the paint, right? And you did it right. Okay, now I can give you a little bit more responsibility. And the further we get down the line, it's a lot easier to trust because we feel confident that we did a good job and they did a good job. Obviously, there's going to be some pitfalls with some people that maybe not do the job right. But at the same time, if we can kind of start going down that path and start trusting a little bit, you don't got to trust them with your whole business today. But if you can start delegating those things off to them, for as a business owner, it makes a huge difference in your week and just probably your mental health and clarity and everything because it's like, hey, now I'm really getting into that business owner side, not being kind of a self-employed person where like I'm doing everything.
yeah,
So awesome. Well, any last thoughts you want to add at all? I mean, I think all this is great. I think a lot of listeners are going to take away a lot of value, and you gave them a couple actionable things. I think one of the biggest actionable things, if you're not in BNI today, I think you need to get into BNI or networking group of some sort. There's 1,000 of them out there, because obviously again, put in what you want to get out of it.
yeah, absolutely. I guess the only thing I can say, I see a lot of posts in painting contractor groups on Facebook and stuff like that, and they said, I've been painting for 8 years. I'm scared to start up my own business. I'm scared to go out on my own. I went into this not knowing anything, and it worked out great. I mean, the longer you wait, the harder it's going to get. Take that step, do it. There's a lot of things you're going to learn on the fly. You're going to mess something up. There's going to be issues. I think as long as you're a good person and you fix those issues and you do what you say you're going to do, everything is going to go great. I mean, at the end of the day, if you're a good guy, you do everything you say you're going to do, they're happy.
Taking that leap of faith for some people, it's a big leap. But I mean, if you're good at painting, there's no reason that you should be stuck painting forever. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of people out there that enjoy painting, right? Like, this is really what I'd
Yeah.
like to do with my day. But for most of us, it's like, hey, if we could run and operate a business, and if we want to paint, we can, but we don't have to. And just taking that leap of faith, just like you said, there's going to be issues. And guess what? And that's okay. For a lot of people, I think a lot of people are like, well, everything needs to be perfect in order for me to take that first step. It's like, no, just take the first step and you'll figure
Yeah.
out the second step. So absolutely. Well, I'll let you go. I appreciate you being on the call today, and we'll get this out to the rest of the viewers. If you have anything else, you can always send it our way, and we'll put it in here. But for everyone listening, like our goal here is to provide as much value as we can to the painting community. Helping people take, whether that's the first step of owning the business, or taking the next step of hiring their first crew, or taking the next step of like, hey, we need to go from $5 to $10 million. All this stuff is great stuff for everybody to listen to. He's given you, I mean, actionable steps. I mean, I think the biggest thing I've taken away is like you got to get into BNI because I mean, it's or any networking group. It's going to be something that you can consistently do. You spend an hour a week, maybe 2 hours a week, and that business can come in on a referral basis versus totally cold. So Corey, I appreciate your time today. I wish you best of luck, and hopefully we'll talk to you down the road. Everybody, again, if you haven't, like, subscribe, share this with a friend, and we'll keep building this painting community and hopefully taking everybody to the next level. So until next time, see you later.